Well, we assembled in the backyard, and the earth seemed to be shaking and bobbing up and down, and we were all laughing at each other's efforts to keep our feet.
Was it as severe as that?
Oh, good gracious me, yes. Oh, it was woodle, 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 and we were going woodle, woodle, woodle too.
And what about, could you hear buildings creaking and cracking?
And we could hear creakings and suspicious noise we've never heard. There seemed to be a rumble, a wobble, 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 wobble under the ground, you see. And that's what's probably making us so insecure on our feet.
The Buller region experienced two major earthquakes during the 20th century. On the 17th of June 1929, a magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck in the middle of the morning. It was felt all over New Zealand, but the worst-hit region was Murchison. For days preceding the earthquake, booming noises had been heard in the hills around the town. The earthquake itself was exceptionally noisy. Rumblings were heard in New Plymouth, over 250 kilometres away. It was caused by movement along the White Creek fault line, west of Murchison. Along this fault, land moved upwards over 4 metres. A neighbour of farmer Charles Morrell saw a gigantic slice of hillside slide towards the Morrell farmhouse.
Charles Morrell was working a dray horse when the quake struck. He and his wife raced towards the higher terrace, but were caught in the slurry and wreck of their house. Mr. Morrell was cut badly and died of blood loss. His wife suffered a broken ankle and bruising. The horse was buried by the slip and only its head was showing above the mud. I put it out of its misery.
At the Mātakitaki bridge, rocks falling looked like flames, and I really thought it was the end of the world. Later I realised that the smoke and flames were from the huge rocks hitting against one another.
Bob White was a pupil at Wales Flat School during the 1929 Murchison earthquake.
I saw a huge slip hurtling towards us. I yelled and we got to our feet and endeavoured to run back towards the building, but the slip overtook us and went straight through the school. We were saved by some poplars and a chestnut tree.
Of the 17 people who died in the Murchison earthquake, 14 were killed by landslides. In the early morning of the 24th of May 1968, the Buller region was rocked by a magnitude 7.1 earthquake centred near Īnangahua Junction, a small community 40 kilometres east of Westport. Residents were woken by shaking violent enough to throw them out of bed.
Our fridge was flipped on its side. A heavy 3-seater sofa was thrown across the lounge, ceilings ripped open, windows exploded out of their frames, cupboards were completely emptied, broken ornaments, crockery littered the floor.
Locals were dismayed to hear radio broadcasts mention only mild earthquakes. The rest of the country seemed unaware of Īnangahua's plight. All roads were blocked, and there was no telephone or electricity to send radio messages. Hours later, a driver contacted Gisborne on his truck radio. By late morning, helicopters arrived to survey damage. Slips caused by the earthquake blocked the Buller River, forcing the evacuation of Īnangahua. The rising water backed up for 7 kilometres, raising the river 30 metres above its normal level. If the Landslide dam had burst, the river would have flooded Īnangahua and Westport. The river eventually overflowed the landslide debris, but eroded it downward gradually without causing serious flooding. One of the 3 people killed in the earthquake was Rona Jackson, wife of farmer Fred Jackson.
The quake was worse than the 1929 one. I helped my wife out of bed and got her to the front door. Then I went back inside for my mother-in-law. While I was trying to find her, a big rock slide came down. Some of the rocks were as big as the house. When I came to, the house had slid about 150 yards down the hill.
Evidence in the landscape of these 2 massive earthquakes, including giant blocks of loose rock, slips and waterfalls, is still apparent today.